I think it depends a lot. So I had a pretty high tolerance for, I guess, just like the pain that I put myself through, and just really didn't have an interest in making a change. So like that kind of struck me. I was so far beyond what should have been rock bottom for so long. I wasn't in too much worse a state I'd been in for the previous several months, but that was just something like that stood out to me as kind of like that fork in the road. But it is really hard. So if you want to like help somebody out that's struggling, their rock bottom or their turning point could be way higher than that. And hopefully for most people it is, because I dragged myself through a lot of things that I didn't necessarily need to. I don't really regret it or anything, because I don't know if I would have just subscribed to doing the right thing when I was in my teenage years. It just wasn't my personality. It was kind of a troublemaker for a long, long time. So I don't know.
Hi, everyone. This is Joshua Hoffman and Alex Garashenko, and welcome to another episode of the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast, where we deconstruct the why and how agency owners found their success, and in season 4, focus on how we can give and receive referrals. Today, I have Preston Powell, the CEO of WebServ, a marketing firm that uses data-driven strategies to create and execute innovative and effective campaigns that boost their online presence, conversions, and revenue. Welcome, Preston.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
Of course, and I can't not say something about your look, because I think you have the single best look of someone that we've interviewed so far.
Absolutely.
I had to go run and like get something cool from my side because I had to match your look. So we have the cowboy hat rocking today. But where I want to
between that and a bow tie, so
and the
cowboy hat work.
If it gets boring during the episode, I'll throw the bow tie on.
I don't think we got to worry about that.
I don't think so either. So I want to jump right into your story, because honestly, it's one of the best stories of like resilience that I've heard, at least not just on this episode, but I think just in general, or I should say the show, but in general. So can you tell us a little bit more about your past and how it kind of led to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Preston Powell. I'm the CEO of WebServ, but I have a background in marketing. I started kind of in marketing in my late teens. I did in-house marketing at a number of different firms, doing paid media, generating leads for like hard money lenders and things like that. But I had a drug problem from my teens into my mid-20s, and kind of as I got older, it got worse and worse. And I kind of found myself 25 years old, addicted to heroin, and passively suicidal, not going anywhere in life. And anyways, I ended up going to a treatment program, getting sober, and I linked up with an old buddy. That's kind of what pointed me in that direction. I didn't want to get sober at all, but my life had gotten pretty bad, and an old friend was doing really well. We used to get in trouble together, and through some kind of reverse psychology, after meeting with this guy, I wanted to clean my life up. And so I got into a treatment program. After getting out, that friend, he had a revenue cycle management company, which was essentially a medical billing company that worked with behavioral health care centers like mental health and addiction treatment centers. I asked if I could work with him. He said, no, no, no. But I kept begging, and he's like, fine. I talked to the partners. You can get an unpaid internship. So I worked with him for about a month and a half. I was on hold doing data entry, talking to people overseas, just It sucked. It sucked really, really bad. But he had a number of treatment center clients that struggled to keep a census. These facilities have, a set number of beds, and based upon how full those are, I mean, it greatly affects the revenue, and billing companies work on kind of a commission. So we thought that, if we could help them to fill their beds, that the billing company could make more money, and I want to have to be on hold and do this. I really didn't like that job. So, I got one client, and that's kind of how we started. At the time, I was living in a sober living house and riding a bus pass to like the corner of this medical billing office with like a $300 computer, just working my tail off, trying to make it work with no real confidence that it would.
What made you want to commit to doing it then?
Well, I mean, I didn't have much to lose, right? So, I could probably get another marketing job, maybe make 75K a year, maybe, go down a career path, but I was never that great of an employee. To be honest, I always wanted to work on like my own side projects, and so I kind of always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And I loved marketing. I would watch YouTube videos all throughout high school about paid media and SEO, and I kind of weaseled my way into marketing departments at companies that I started working sales at. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started back in 2017, and then we grew. I had no idea how to grow a business. And my partner was pretty good with finances, but he didn't really understand marketing, or at least not digital marketing in the way that I did. So he provided a lot of help, but I was pretty much on my own for like figuring out how to start structuring the business. And yeah, it went really well, and I'm just kind of, it's crazy. It's a trip. I'm humbled with kind of where we've gone and where things are today.
Do you think that being passionate about the job and the industry, and this, it's not just a company you were starting, but like there was a lot behind it. Do you think that helped get through the early times? It sounds like you kind of had a customer from the beginning and everything, but do you think that helped build the company, or do you like? I guess the question that I'm trying to ask is like, how much passion do you think has to be, or should be, or is better if it is in the company?
Well, I think it's incredibly important, but the truth is that my life had been getting worse year after year for a decade. So every year of my life leading up to this point was the worst year of my life, and so when I got sober and started getting things together, I thought my life was over, but quickly I realized that my life was starting to have some meaning, and I was super motivated. I would ride a bus. I eventually got like an $800 car, and I would drive that car around, and I'd show up to these businesses with like a box of cookies and pretend like I had a meeting with their CEO, and so I was hustling, but I didn't want to get into treatment. I thought I'd be doing something cool and sexy like B2B SaaS, or or like working with large enterprises. But yeah, I'm super passionate about the industry, and try to continue to work with like other men to get sober. Last year we got over 1,200 people into treatment, and this year I think we'll probably get over 2,000 people into treatment. And
Awesome.
with like the fentanyl crisis and everything, it's just I probably didn't have another 5 years in me with kind of the way things went after I got sober. people that were using opioids, got to a point where like all they could find is fentanyl. And, I've had a number of like close, what should have been lifelong friends, or what were lifelong friends, pass away, from, fentanyl. So we get to do some really cool stuff. Like right now, I'm putting together a big golf tournament fundraiser for this company called End Overdose. They distribute Narcan and fentanyl test strips for free all across the country. They're a really cool organization. You guys should check them out. Yeah, we're planning to raise like 300K for their cause. And it's really cool because the work that we do saves lives. But if you work in one niche, it can get monotonous. But we're mission driven, and as we work in behavioral healthcare, we like to track the numbers and incorporate it into our organization. Like, hey, like we got this number of people into treatment this year, and we saved families that would have been ripped apart or whatever. And and so having experienced the full cycle, it is super meaningful. And as time goes on, we do get to work on some really cool projects
and help a lot of people, which I think not every marketing agency can say like we've actually had more people say that, oh, we're not saving the world. And I think you actually get to say that. I think that you are helping save the world. So I think that's special too. You also, I was literally, sometimes I'll like type a follow-up question, just so I don't forget. I was literally typing like, do you consider yourself motivated? And literally as I'm typing about that, you went into like, you literally said, oh, I'm very motivated, and you went into it. So I guess our brains are similar there. But even before I get into the business stuff, which I want to get to in a second, what did your friends say or do that made that time the time that you finally wanted to make a change? Because I have this obsession with learning, like I have this saying like find motivation wherever you can and then maximize it. But I also have this obsession with understanding like what's the difference between two people that are going through the same thing, but one finally hit that motivator that kind of changed everything. So I guess I would want to know, one, what did your friend say or do that changed it? And then two, what is the difference between you who has done this versus someone who is still struggling?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was in a real hopeless spot. So I'll give a little bit more background than that. So I was living in Utah for a few years, working in marketing, but I had this girlfriend that I wasn't getting along with. I was paying rent on an apartment that we shared. I didn't want to see her face. So I was like, just because we were fighting so much. And then I was using drugs constantly. My car got impounded and like the fees started stacking up and I wasn't going to be able to get it out. So I'm couch surfing. I'm paying rent on this place and, just like couldn't make it through an entire day of work without like going to the bathroom and like breaking down. I was pretty pathetic state. And so anyways, I ended up going back home to Laguna Beach, is where I was staying at the time. We had some friends that owned a hotel out there, and I posted on Facebook, right? Because I thought I had all these friends from, high school and stuff, but they went on and, moved forward with their lives. So I didn't get all the responses that I had hoped for. But my buddy Kyle, who's my partner now, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be in town," or not in town. He lives there, but I can link up with you. So we went to just like a taco shop, and it just kind of struck me because like we were, the same type of degenerates, and he was just very like clear-headed. He was driving a nice car, and I was just a mess. And and I had a lot of potential, but none of it was realized. And I had kind of thought that I had a victim mentality. But when I was sitting there talking to him, we just kind of, I was kind of amazed with where he was at in life. So I was asking him a lot of questions, and then it kind of stuck with me. And then I called him later, and I was like, "Hey, like, I think I might need to go to treatment," which he didn't suggest because, uh, well, because he's well versed and he's studied this stuff a lot. And what you'll find is, if you're the guy telling your buddy that, hey, you need to get help, like that guy's not going to call you or like consider you like a trusted resource. So, anyways, um, I called him like the next day and I was like, I think I need to get into treatment. And, my mind cleared during that time. My thought was, okay, I'm just going to clean up for, a few months, and then I can finally get on my feet, and then I'll get to a good spot. But during those few months, like my life got so much better. And it was a lot of work. And honestly, it's still a decent amount of work today. But yeah, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of answering the question, but that's more elaboration on the
Let
story.
me let me ask like a follow-up then. No, I'm really glad you added the context, and I guess what I would want to know, and then we'll get to the business stuff, I promise. But how can people with a similar, like, how can people get to a similar mindset that you ended up getting into without maybe having like to wait for this specific moment, or can they, or does like almost everyone needs some kind of, like, a lot of people I know wait for a rock bottom, but like I don't know, I don't subscribe to the idea of like waiting for a rock bottom. Is there anything that we can do before we get there?
So I think it depends. I think it depends a lot. So I had a pretty high tolerance for like I guess just like the pain that I put myself through. And just really didn't have an interest in making a change. So like that kind of struck me. I was so far beyond what should have been rock bottom for so long. And I wasn't in too much worse a state I'd been in for, the previous several months. But that was just something for like that stood out to me as kind of like that fork in the road. But it is really hard. So like if you want to like help somebody out that's struggling, their rock bottom or their turning point could be way higher than that, and hopefully for most people it is because um, you can. I dragged myself through a lot of things that I didn't necessarily need to. I don't really regret it or anything because I don't know if I would have just subscribed to like doing the right thing when I was in my teenage years. And, it just wasn't my personality. I was kind of a troublemaker for a long, long time. So I don't know. But yeah, I see a lot of people that get sober like way before I would, but they typically want to. I never wanted to clean up or like because I did drugs because I liked them, and I just couldn't see the reality for what it was, or just wasn't honest with myself on like how extreme it had gotten. And I thought I could make it work still. I thought I could potentially get on a better path in life and continue doing what I was doing. Because there was
I
Do you tend to work in extremes still?
absolutely.
Is that transition into your work now? You're just extreme into what you do with your marketing company?
Yeah, I like my mind's always racing. I like riding dirt bikes and I like going fast and jumping off stuff. And
Can we get you on the ski mountains? Can we? Are you a skier at all?
I snowboard.
Dude,
I'll
come out
ski
here. Come out to Colorado. Let's do it.
where? Where do you go?
Well, I just moved to like outside Denver, outside Golden. So
Okay.
Vail, I went to Vail, and that place is. I mean, they're all. Don't get me wrong, they're all amazing. But Vail seems special to me. I don't know if you've been, but come
Vail's
on.
pretty awesome. I've never actually snowboarded or skied there, but I've skied at Breckenridge and a couple other resorts that I can't think of their names right now.
Copper, Keystone, Beaver
I
Creek.
think Keystone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Keystone. But there's so many of them.
No,
Yeah,
it's been a dream. I've no complaints living here. Yeah. Getting into the business side of everything, your firm, and still staying on kind of topic, but your firm has expanded from just behavioral health to like the larger healthcare industry. So I guess I want to understand the story that of why you did that and why you made that decision. And were there any growing pains? And then a phrase that we like to use is like, was there any dumb tax? So like something that you had to pay for that was dumb and probably in hindsight didn't need to.
Yeah. So the the focus of our company being on behavioral healthcare is just makes marketing so much easier. We've expanded somewhat, but if you go into the broad of what is healthcare, like inbound leads that we get from like healthcare marketing agency type keywords. I mean, they tend to not be qualified. A lot of them are like small practices, and then some of them are people that maybe we can't help. But we're working a lot with medical device. We do some stuff with aesthetics and then behavioral healthcare. So the expanding and then expanding our reach. We've tried a few times, and it's never worked very well if you go too broad because one, like behavioral healthcare is an industry where everybody knows each other. So if I do really good work in behavioral healthcare, um, everybody hears about it, and I get a lot of inbound referrals. So kind of like free marketing there. Also, we put on a lot of events in the space, and those are all just great marketing opportunities for us. And we go to every conference. So I've got like 5 business development people, and at any given time, I probably got a couple of them in different states at different events, and so it's just easier to grow if you're focused on a niche, and it's easier to be the best option for your client. With medical device, we've noticed that there's some really like large companies that spend a lot of money, and so our average deal size will be much bigger in medical device than it is in behavioral healthcare. But it is kind of weird. So there's like aesthetics devices, and they go to aesthetics conferences. There's like um, all different types of devices, and so like it's a bunch of like mini communities within medical device because it's like ailment specific or disease specific where these people go.
And you mentioned you tried like expanding, I guess, a few times. And the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you've hit a number of plateaus. And I guess what were those plateaus and how did you end up like getting over them?
Yeah, so when we started, just getting from nothing to say 50K a month in revenue was somewhat manageable because at first I just had one client and it was just me. And then I was working to find a second client, but it was still just me. I got 3 clients, 20K in revenue or so. And then I was like, okay, if I'm going to try and get more clients, I need somebody to do work on these clients.
Was that 20K MRR or ARR?
It'd be MRR.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Our first deal was like 5K a month. Um, so yeah, everything's great when you work on MRR and you can retain clients for a long time, just because it makes things a lot easier. But
We've had a lot of guests kind of talk about exactly that of just their first is actually the opposite. Their first few customers were not recurring customers, and then they saw this as this like, oh, the shit, like this is hard getting new customers every month, and then switching over to MRR. So I think it's great that you started with MRR, and I think that helped you probably grow a little faster in the beginning.
yeah, no, definitely. So like initial plateaus were around like um, just not having the organization. So if I was focusing on service delivery, I couldn't focus on sales and vice versa. Um, and then once we got to maybe 100K, we plateaued for a long time because we'd get clients, but we weren't retaining clients as well as we could. So we needed to work on retention. And yeah, there's been a number of plateaus. I think we plateaued again around 200K, and exact reasons for each one are definitely somewhat debatable, but mostly it's just that either you're not set up for growth, like you don't have the infrastructure for it, or your focus is in the wrong area.
And now I guess moving into like a few questions about your business to like, again, this whole season 4 is us trying to get you referrals, get referrals, give referrals type thing. If you have a project upcoming that, you have a service gap in, whatever it is, maybe you need a photographer and you guys don't have that on staff, can we help you in that sense? So you actually answered a lot of the questions already, which was awesome. Did you start the company is usually what I asked, or with anyone? You mentioned, your childhood friends and that whole story. You actually already mentioned kind of how you got your first customers and everything like that. So now I guess I want to understand kind of what your team looks like now compared to maybe even those benchmarks that you just said, those plateaus. What does the company look like now?
Yeah, so and we're still trying to kind of grow in certain ways, because it's always hard as you grow to like to have the proper management structures in place, because you
Right,
add
operations.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a big thing that was like a problem is like individual contributors. If that makes up like everyone on your service team, then nobody manages anything. And so that's been kind of, I think I built things upside down, right? Because I just provided service. And once I needed some help, I just have somebody do the same thing I was doing, and I keep doing it until I realize, okay, this is unmanageable. And then I'd install a manager. And, at this point, like, I've got a CFO, and then directors of each department, but I think I need more of like a COO type person to bring it all together. There's kind of like a goal for each position in our company. Like they have a certain KPI. And I think I'm rambling again because I don't remember what the question is, but
Yeah, I do that all the time. That's you just said story of my life right there. I literally started a question earlier and I was like, shit, I totally forget where I was going with this. That's why I have to type my questions ahead of time, because I get so involved like listening. All right, whatever. So I hear you. What would you do differently during that process then? Because you mentioned, like it doesn't sound like it went bad, but is there anything that you would do differently?
well, no, not really. I mean, I couldn't do things differently. I did the very best that I could, and I learned things also as quickly as I could. But you talk about dumb tax, so I continue to pay dumb tax on things. It just ends up being less and less often, or once a company's bigger, the dumb tax that you pay is diluted. So you don't notice it as much. But our company, the structure and the things that I focus on today are, I guess, just a culmination of like of what I learned by doing the best I could and learning a lot of lessons the hard way.
No, I totally hear you there, and I love the dumb tax phrase. Alex, you need to always remind me who said that, because I need to put it in my docs. I just need to keep
It's got to
doing
make me look. Yeah, I should have that written down by now.
it. And then as we get into more of this like referral game, can you share what services you guys provide?
Yeah, so we work and we decline a lot of different jobs. We work in behavioral health care, and our client looks like somebody that's probably going to be spending 10K or more a month on their marketing. Our SEO starts in the like $7,000 range. I think it's 6,500 right now is our kind of starting price there. And then for paid media, our management fees start at $3,000 a month. So they don't typically make sense for somebody that's not going to spend 10K or more. We've got a paid media department. There's, I think, maybe 7 people in it, and then an SEO department with like 8 or 9 people in it, and then we've got 3 designers. And yeah, we're very, very focused on healthcare. Things come up all the time. So video production, it comes up. We don't offer it in-house. Definitely make referrals there. And then what else? You talked about photography. We don't do photography typically. We tend to like just find somebody in the client's area and then work a deal with them if we can, and we think they're going to do a good job. But what else? So tons of clients that aren't qualified for what we do that want to spend, between like 1,500 and 5K on marketing stuff. Typically, they're not a fit for us just because we're expensive, and like I don't think that we can deliver much value for those prices. I mean, our industries are really competitive, and I just don't want to sell them something that's not going to get them where they want to be.
I'll help you answer those questions as well. But first of all, I just want to say congrats on being able to say the phrase "we're expensive." That's a hella good thing for a company to say. So I think that just shows the success that you've gotten to at this point. So and then you were kind of getting into both of these next questions, but how can you work with other marketing agencies, or what services can you partner with other agencies? So in other words, what do agencies tend to reach out to you for?
Yeah. Agencies will reach out to us. I mean, they tend to be like creative agencies that need some help managing PPC. I work with this agency, or I have on a couple different projects that does like some really good work on video production, and they do some stuff in the e-commerce world. But once they leave that world, they don't do paid media, so they've had us do a couple paid media things. But I've also had them do some e-commerce projects because for whatever reason, like e-commerce has been pretty hard for us when we've done it. I mean, we've had some success, but we're by no means experts in that. So if an e-commerce company comes to us today, we tend to shy away from them.
Well, yeah, and I think that might be the answer to the next question. But what services do you tend to partner with the most? So what services are closely aligned to yours that you might not have internal staff for and need help with?
So yeah, I mean, the biggest things tend to be like creative development outside of like copywriting, or like we create ads and we can edit video pretty well, but like the production of photography or video, and then a lot of the services that we offer, again, they're too expensive for some clients that aren't really like a good fit for us. So I mean, we'd partner with anybody, and and that we thought would do a good job.
And then a few questions I tend to ask at the end. If you had to teach something to other marketers, what would it be?
I had to teach something to other marketers. That's an interesting, very open-ended question, and I'm gonna freestyle here, but
You want a beat? I can give you a beat.
all right. No, so
She said yes.
there's certain things like that. It's hard because with my new SEO employees, like the thing that always sticks out to me is that that if you're working in any sort of like content production, that you should only try to make a piece of content if you think you can make the very best piece on the entire web. On the paid media side, we do a lot of like lead generation for like high dollar, high cost per click services. And so for like somebody that's doing Google ads in a similar industry, we really stress like offline conversion tracking and like maximize conversion value bidding strategies, which tend to weed out the unqualified stuff. And so I guess it just depends on what they're doing. And then if they were like an aspiring business owner like me that hadn't, that was earlier in their journey than I was, probably talk to them a lot about like finances and getting an understanding of like their P&L and how it works so that they can anticipate changes in their company, because I was pretty financially illiterate. And I still am, but I've spent, hundreds of hours, maybe even 1,000, trying to understand how just business finances work. Because remember, I'm a degenerate. I'm not like you guys. I didn't go to a good college. I was a a loser. So I had to sit and structure all these things, watch videos, and so it's interesting.
But good thing you work in extremes, because you were probably able to just zone in and absorb all of it.
I would also take that over someone who maybe grew up too smart and is overconfident and doesn't dive into those YouTube videos just to learn things. So, I know I'm on my last few questions, but I had this question that I was like, I don't know if I should ask it, but screw it. Now I'll ask it. And I think it came from the podcast Diary of a CEO, and I forget what who his guest was, Mo something. But he asked this question. I forget what the context is, but it's basically, would you erase like that early part of your life if you could?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I guess it's a lot of what like gives my life like meaning now. And not only that, like it got pretty bad, but it started pretty fun,
Oh, I had a question. I totally forget what it was there. So
I'll go back to your last question, because a more general answer that might apply to just marketers in general is just specialize. That's what I would tell to an aspiring marketer. Like, figure out one thing that you like, whether it's technical or creative or whatever it might be, but just go way down the rabbit hole over there, because you'll provide a lot more value. I've tried to make sure that our departments are like highly specialized, so that we can provide a unique value that isn't easy to find. And I find myself sitting at meetings with like Ivy League educated people, and it's just little old me, but I can provide them a ton of value. And they're like, wow, we've been trying to figure this out for so long. And I'm like, cool, this is what I've been doing for in an obsessive manner for a decade and a half or something. And
Yeah, I think there can be a beauty to, coming from a different place than these Ivy Leaguers. And I always believe that when you're in a room, especially in a business setting, you should have diversity in thought. If everyone's the same Myers-Briggs on a company, like you're not pushing and you're not getting new thoughts and everything. And I think that is, I don't know if they respect it, but I think that's what a room like that should respect from someone in your situation, is this diversity of thought that they could never even tap into. They just don't even have the ability to tap into that. So I think that was one. And then I know I keep asking these these other questions. I'm supposed to get to my last questions, but what would you say to someone who's going through something? I'll just put the question mark right there.
I guess it depends on what they're going through, but I think that I'm somewhat uniquely qualified to speak with people that have a substance use disorder, just because of my experience. And I don't know that I'd say anything, but I'd share with them kind of what I've been through, and I found that super helpful when I was just the same thing I was talking about. So coming from a place where like, hey, I've been there, like I think I can offer a lot of help. And I don't know the only way to go about it, but yeah, I don't think that's a very good answer either.
No, here's what I got out of it is what I learned, with my friend who's in AA is one of the biggest impacts is just getting in that room and seeing that you're not the only one going through something. And I think that if you've at least gotten past the part of like, I want to make a change, then I think a good next step is getting into those rooms or even just talking with anyone that has also gone through something. And because it's such an easy belief to be like, I'm unfortunately unique in this situation and this is hell, but like, no, other people are going through it too. And I think it helps, talking to them as well. For real, my last question is, any books, podcasts, or newsletter recommendations?
Books, podcasts, or newsletters. My podcasts are like maybe like Kill Tony. You should watch Kill Tony.
Heard of it. I don't know.
I was at the mothership here in Austin watching comedy. I don't know. I do so much studying on like websites, just on YouTube, on whatever, that I don't do too much. I don't read too many books these days.
It does sound like a lot of it's like you've mentioned going to YouTube like 2 or 3 times, and I think it sounds like that's kind of your resource.
Yeah, so like last night I was flying from LAX back to Austin, and so I started looking up business economics classes that I could watch, and I do a lot of like that style of learning, like maybe more of like a Udemy or like I don't know. I do like CS50, which is free, like or like how to do this specific thing in JavaScript or something like that. So that's definitely more my style. And then once I'm done with everything, probably any podcast I watch better make me laugh.
We haven't got that answer of like,
yeah, never.
Switching it to
That's a good
YouTube.
answer.
I really like that. Conan.
Yeah, or go actually take an actual class. Don't read
that,
it.
yeah.
Take a course online and.
Well, I even have, I think it came from our discovery call, but it was, you mentioned, having continuing education. And I think I literally took that concept and I'm kind of debating doing another podcast. And one of the discovery questions that I want to do is, or ask is exactly that. So I'll thank you for that.
You should, maybe add that to the list, podcast, newsletters, books, or online classes, online courses.
Like continuing education is bucket all those. Like, what is your continuing education? So as we come up to the end of the episode, I just want to give you an opportunity to mention how people can find you and anything else you'd like to end with.
Yeah, so you guys can find us on our website is webserv.io, WEBSERV, no E at the end.io. And then the other part was anything I want to ask you guys?
Oh, no, but sure.
No. What was the other part of the question?
It was just anything you'd like to end with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful that I get to be here on this podcast. This whole journey for me has been a lot of discovery and a lot of imposter syndrome. So just super grateful that people like you would even ask me to be on.
Oh, I mean, dude, you're like you were easy for like. First of all, you're successful. Like in what you've done so far. That was the first thing, and then we just had our
amazing journey.
And it was just
like the depth of your answers too. I think because like Josh talks really quickly, and you throw a lot out at people. So like thinking through and then going and actually answering everything. I mean, you super easy guest, super insightful. I think you provided a ton of value. And then you have the background of the story alone that was, great episode. So yeah, thank you. We're glad to have you on.
Yeah, you guys are good. Everything's like super comfortable with you guys. I've been on some like podcasts, or I was on with like Colorado one time, and some people make you feel really nervous, just the anticipation. So this is a great format, super easy.
We really appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And for those of you who've learned something new from this episode, please consider giving us a like or a follow so we can continue getting the highest quality of guests. And as always, thank you for listening. Preston, I thought this was a special episode. Thank you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.